All right. Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where socially awkward outcasts, widows, and all around nerds convene, talk, and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the Nerdist, aka the Authenticator, Nelson O. Multimer.
Hello and good evening, everyone. It is far too hot and humid for the likes of me, and god dang it, without meaning any diplomatic offense, really don't like the summer season very much.
Um, I mean, he's kind of better off because he lives on the East Coast. I live in the Midwest. I am fucked.
Yeah, as much as I am
Like, if you
annoyed by this humidity, I am glad it will never metastasize into tornadoes.
again, where I live, never had a tornado. Tornado warnings, but never tornadoes. Um, like a few days ago, it was about 103.
Yeah, it's been, I want to say 98 all week. I really
We should be
don't.
getting some rain. When we're going to be getting rain, but um, anyway, so I just realized I forgot to actually put a message on the Discord
Mm.
regarding that we were doing this on Friday.
Mm.
Son of a.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I decided this because, well,
Professionals, folks. We'll get it someday.
probably not. Yeah, my family. We do 4th of July. I know Dalton is an antisocial weirdo, doesn't do shit. Um, I realize that's the pot calling the kettle black there. Shut up.
It's you have just unleashed an entire fucking ironmongery of straw men there, my friend.
I apologize. Can we move on?
uh yes. That doesn't mean I'm not going to mock you mercilessly for it, but yes.
Fair. Out of the two of us, I'm actually more capable of interacting with other people. Let's be fully honest on that.
I'd say you're more willing to interact with people. I have no problem being verbose. I just don't like wasting it on humans for the most part.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between there because I actually say people instead of humans. Anyway,
There
um,
there are many non-human varieties of people that are better company than human beings. I'm sorry.
I won't deny that. I'm just saying I'm at least willing to talk to people even if I don't like them. Believe me, I've talked to a lot of people I don't like.
I am also more than willing to, hence why I do weekly SEA practices and shit, despite all of the fucking elder theater kid drama that normally ensues from there.
All right. So anyway, um, fuck.
Have
Lost my
you
train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, my family usually do stuff on 4th of July. You know, usually we fire off fireworks and just do stupid shit. Well, we're gonna grill out. Just so that's not too stupid. My point, is we live the American dream.
My roommate is currently overseeing a fireworks show because he works security and they hired him to work security for the fireworks, which he
Are,
really likes because that means he has a primo seat for watching the fireworks. He likes watching
are
things
you going
explode.
to go?
Hmm?
Are you going to go?
I can't go. He's working, and in
Ah,
order to get there, he had to go like an hour before the show so that he could work security for it.
okay, fair enough. Uh, would you have gone if you had the choice?
Yes.
Okay, well, never mind.
Of course, that would have fucked us in particular because showtime. But But yeah,
Fair enough. Oh wait, not 4th of July.
no, that would
Oh,
be tomorrow. But a lot of places are doing it early because weekend.
weird. Eh, so yeah, I'm just gonna be busy with 4th of July, and I hope everyone has a good 4th of July. Um, how many years?
250 this year. It's a big one.
I don't know why I thought it was more. Like,
Because you're probably thinking of the amount of time before America was its own separate country yet. I also frequently overestimate because I
well, no, I
kind
was
of
thinking at least in two. I thought it was at least 2.6.
hmm,
That's how long I thought America has been around. 276 years time.
yeah, because you're probably counting like when the Pilgrims first came over in the Mayflower and shit. I frequently
No, no,
habitually
no. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking uh, when America was established as a country of its own. 200. I thought it was 276, not 2. So I was off.
Mhm.
Right. So anyway, we're just gonna do kind of a quick thing because, to be fair, we are kind of tired because the heat is kind of getting to us.
Yeah, again, I am a servant of winter right in the middle of the dead of summer, and I don't, meaning no offense to any parties concerned, I really, I just don't thrive in this fucking heat.
Yeah. So kind of not speed run it, but we're gonna try and get through this quickly as possible while it's entertaining. So we're gonna do a Supergirl review first because we've both seen it. I'd seen it a week ago, um, and Dawn has seen it, and you saw it this week.
Yes. I also did a review with Angwood Gene over on Island Comics as well.
There we go.
But anyway, do you want to go first since you're probably going to be more positive on it than I am?
Yeah, that's fair. And obviously, we'll do like non-spoiler review first, and then we'll just start jumping, and then we'll try and get into spoilers if anything really warrants it.
Mm.
So, general thoughts, it's fine. I don't. I'm gonna be fully honest. I don't really have any negative feelings towards it whatsoever. It's an all right movie. Yeah, I think that's just kind of gist of everything. Actually, okay, you know what? I'll add something and then I'm done. You can go. Okay.
All right.
Um. So it's fine. It's I don't really have any negative feelings, but I didn't really I didn't really feel anything. I'll be fully honest. I was just kind of blank face through the whole,
Mm-hmm.
which to Dawn I think is far more damning. Or paraphrase, I suppose.
Well, it's as I said, this is about as positive as the review is getting, kids, because I have I have to be once more the bearer of bad news.
Um, I will say I don't. A lot of people, which I also think Dawn will probably get into it more. I do not think it is a. I don't think it's a feminist movie. I just think it's kind of a. Sorry, I thought I saw a spider on my wall. Uh, I just don't think it's
This could be the origin of Brainstormer's Spider-Man arc. Lol.
if I become Spider-Man, I'm fucked.
I don't know about that. I think you would do reasonably well.
Spider-Man's life sucks.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but you're already there, kid.
It would suck more. If I was a superhero anyway, my life would suck infinitely more. But yeah, whatever. Just fuck off. It's just a piece of tape on the wall. I forgot it was there, and it's under my eye. It looked like a fucking spider falling off the goddamn wall.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but yeah, I don't think it's a feminist movie, or the feminist movie.
It doesn't do my patriarchy commentary.
No, I just think it's not. It's not. I'll be fully honest. We'll get into that in spoilers. Don't say your piece, please.
Okay, so something you'll probably, if you've been watching this channel for very long, know about me is I try to be as harsh on a thing going in as I can be, so that I can, in theory, be pleasantly surprised when I'm wrong. That happened with Black Adam. I thought for sure the actor who made Bond too overly comedic would absolutely ruin Dr. Fate. It did not happen. Black Adam was actually pretty good. We did several reactions to the leaks about Multiverse of Madness before Multiverse of Madness, and Multiverse of Madness ended up pleasantly surprising me. Agatha all along we were very terrified for, but it actually ended up being good, episodes 6 and 9 notwithstanding. I'm prefacing this because this is one of those unfortunate times where I was not pleasantly surprised because I was correct, and I really don't like being correct about these sorts of predictions. I much prefer the world in which I'm pleasantly surprised, like I was a bit with Master of the Universe. Master of the Universe, I thought it looked good in the trailers, but it was getting a lot of negative heat when it came out, and I was pleasantly surprised. Granted, a large part of that was because Adam is adorable, but that's neither here nor there. Point being, this movie is everything that I feared it would be, pretty much. Minus that it didn't really go full patriarchal commentary shtick. But that's because Kara is too self-centered to even have a female collectivism bullshit attached to her. And it's another one of those instances of people thinking that you can get away with anything if your character's an asshole, but they forget that the key word in the phrase likable asshole is likable, and Kara just ain't.
I don't think that's to do with Millie Alcock.
No, she does. She showed up fine. Like she did a serviceable job with what she was given. It's just that what she was given was the blander side of ass.
So we moving spoilers and
yeah.
Okay. Kind of start off. I don't want to get right into like the major issues in terms of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly with Kara's back. We'll get to that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I guess I'll go cool actually first, which I probably should have done in my non-spoiler review.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of boring in how it's shot and everything, and how it looks. Right?
Yeah, I think we gave the trailers a little bit too much benefit of the doubt. It was like,
no, I think I said the same thing. And actually, I didn't see any like impressive visuals even. Like
to its credit, it's not generically gray like a lot of really bad movies are.
But the fact that I'm sorry,
but it defaulted to this like tan, brown, yellow filter over fucking everything that I think was trying to aesthetically like mirror like a Mad Max or like a post-apocalyptic desert type vibe,
Can I?
but it looks like ass.
My actual issue is more so the settings of the planet. Okay, because I'm gonna bring this up because it's kind of a spacefaring adventure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it does not feel spacey.
No, because
It
none of
feels
the
very.
none
You
of
know,
the planets have any flavor. None of the planets have any aesthetic uniqueness to them. It's just
oh my god!
generic field world number 1, generic field world number 2, generic field
Okay,
world number 3.
hold on.
Go ahead.
Rebel Moon.
Yep. Except without Zach. Like, we both have gone at length as to the many, many things that Zack Snyder gets wrong. But the one thing you can't say about the man is that he doesn't have an eye towards aesthetics. Literally, it's well, not like I the model shit.
Hey, Dawn, you're roboting. It's not on my end. I checked the stream. It's on your end for some reason. I don't. I can't understand a word. Well, we have technical difficulties, but it seems to be on Dawn's end. Okay. Hopefully, he comes back in a second. I don't really want to talk until he gets back. So give me one moment. I look up something. All right, so Superman 5 for fighting. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. Just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird. I'm more than a plane. I'm more than some pretty face beside a train. And it's not easy. Okay.
Okay, but what I was saying, can you first of all, can you hear me now?
Yeah, maybe get a little closer to your mic, but I can hear you now.
Testing, testing.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, the thing I was saying was this movie is very much having the same sort of range of settings as Rebel Moon without Zack Snyder's eye towards aesthetics. Because for all the shit that we rightfully give Zack Snyder, for he deserves it, the one thing you can't say about the man is that he doesn't have an eye towards aesthetics. He very much does. This movie has the same kind of settings as Rebel Moon, but without any sort of eye towards aesthetic. It's just generic field world number 1, generic field world number 2, and generic field world number 3. Or desert world is the other motif they do a lot. But whereas in something like the Marvels, which also kind of did this, they were swinging for the fences such that they were doing such weird shit that you couldn't help but remember the various settings they went to, like the one musical planet, for example. Whereas this doesn't really do anything to make each world they visit distinct from the others or distinct from just generic Earth for that matter. And it makes it exceedingly hard to remain fully invested in anything.
I kind of noticed with this. I know James Gunn isn't really working on this. It was like some other director.
Yeah.
It was very much a style that I really noticed immediately.
Yeah,
that
it was somebody
copied.
trying their damnedest to do a James Gunn, basically.
Okay, hold on. It's Guardians of the Galaxy without the real emotional connection.
Or the humor, because this movie tries to be funny and does not succeed.
It's fair.
What it is, and I brought this up in my review with Eglantine as well. This might have been a little bit before your time, Brainstormer, but in the aftermath of Disney's Aladdin, Disney and Robin Williams had a massive falling out. So when they did the Aladdin animated series, they got Dan Castellaneta, who is the voice of Homer Simpson, to do the voice, to basically do an impression of Robin Williams, and then the writers basically had to come up with stuff that they think Robin Williams would have said. And this feels very much like that. It feels like the director, who is the same director for Atomic Blonde and Cruella, is trying their best to do a James Gunn, but they're not as good at being James Gunn as James Gunn is. And so you get the same kind of needle drops, but they don't fit as well, or the same kind of humor, but it usually falls flat. And the same kind of asshole protagonist, but without the likableness of the likable.
Right. Okay, so I guess we're really going into spoilers now regarding like backstory and everything. It doesn't really confirm the well, it confirms Cole was some type of Kryptonian supremacist, apparently.
Which is just, I don't envy them their position here, because they basically had two choices. Retcon it out like nobody's business, which would have been probably the smarter thing, or make the entirety of Krypton just Viltrumites. Or the third choice, which seems to be the one they went with, is make Krypton mostly normal, but make Jor-El a like crazy doomsday prepper dude. Which is just,
Yeah. I mean, they already did the kind of Kryptonians and Viltrumites in My Adventures with Superman, and they handled it actually better, I'd say.
Yeah, because it seemed like they were planning that from the get-go, and so they had more time to make it feel organic and set it up. And also by letting the characters react more organically to it.
Yeah. Well, that, and they also added like a lot of nuances and stuff.
Yes.
So
it's the kind of thing you can do when you're not just ad-libbing plot points.
Yeah. We've both made our points known about the whole Superman sent to
conquer Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not gonna reiterate it, honestly. It's just I think everyone really doesn't like it.
It was a terrible idea. The most sensible solution would be to make it something Lex made up to psychologically troll Superman, but they didn't do that, apparently. But beyond that, we're not going to rehash that because
But
it doesn't really come up here anyway much.
also Andor, or no, what was it?
Argos.
Argos, Argo.
Yeah.
Thank you. See what they did there, and I respect the creativity actually,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of wish Brainiac, because that's what it's supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bottled city of Candor. That's
Candor. Candor is the capital city. Argo is the sister city that Kara grows up in.
yeah. It's just a floating. Honestly, that feels like a Marvel inspiration because Xandar Ova, uh, it's literally like a piece of a city from a destroyed planet.
Yeah, speaking of things that very much just feel like let somebody other than James Gunn make an attempt at James Gunn's greatest hits with not much of the passion or effort put in.
But it was interesting, and plus the kryptonite thing was kind of interesting as well. Um,
Although speaking of, we will get into this later, but they really they made baffling decisions with regards to the villain and how in the fuck he even has kryptonite.
the Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute, but I mean, I feel like all those flashbacks could have just been like basically the opening to the movie. It was like a prologue.
They really should have been.
Like, I feel like they
much,
set up the character. Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
like as a writing perspective, I think it helps set characters arc properly when it's all shown in one continuous go.
It's a similar problem, albeit a much worse variation on the problem of Superman 2025. Rather than having the like opening text of Superman 2025, it would have helped if we had actually seen the events that the movie is lately revolving around. The thing with Baravia and I forget the other one. But the actual diplomatic incidents Superman causes
Yeah.
to get everybody anal.
Again, I propose the solution. Which actually, if I remember correctly, it was the kid with the flag towards the end of the movie. If I remember how I wrote that scene, um, an invasion of a small village by the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you see all the same character, like the extras from the end of Superman 2025 at the border, and same boy who holds up the flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Calling for Superman in like a whisper. Superman shows up and stops it. Like we see that.
Mm.
Hey, Giant Turtle, good to see you. I'm doing fine. Well, miserable, but fine. Miserable because of the heat, not the life. My life's been fine for the most part. Just hot lately.
Yeah, it's too hot.
I'm knocking on wood because I don't want to tempt fate on that
Yeah,
proclamation there.
and also too humid, much too humid.
Um, um, yeah, I just think spreading out the flashbacks kind of breaks the momentum of the movie, and they're all very much. It feels like they should all be like just part of a prologue, right? Like they all kind of flow into the more together than they in the actual editing of the movie.
And I feel like this is a pet peeve of mine specifically, but can we please just stop telling movies out of chronological order unless you actually have a reason to, please? I'm really fucking sick of the fucking interlaced time period. Even flashbacks are beginning to get overused to the point where I'm just like, can we just tell the story in chronological order, please?
To be fair, one second.
Bless you.
Thank you. Um, um, Project Hail Mary, well, but that's because the character had literal amnesia, retrograde amnesia, basically.
Yeah, we had a reason why that is for the story. Something like Memento has a reason for that in the story because the the
Right.
the mysteries and secrets of the person having intermittent memory loss is part of the story of something like Memento. But
Yeah.
here it does nothing but break up the otherwise natural flow of the movie and rob us of a pretty interesting opening maneuver.
Okay. I'm sorry, Giant Turtle said, wait, is Dalton the Fey equivalent of a weeaboo non-humans in general? Well, non-biological, since I doubt he'd care much for aliens or uplifted animals, probably no even for something like elves beyond weird magic or orcs for dot 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 purposes.
Well, the orcs are definitely on the husbando list, as are what are the half giant things in D&D? Goliaths.
By the way, you guys played with the Backrooms movie or entire series? Uh I figured Cane Pixels. I'll be honest, it just doesn't really interest me. I've heard it's good, and I don't doubt it isn't good. That it is not.
I still need to see both Obsession and Backrooms. I really want to see both of them before they leave the theater.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, I think with all the flashback scenes together at the first, as like a prologue to the Supergirl movie, it helps set up the character of Kara a lot more.
Not only that, but it also makes her jadedness feel a lot more organic if we know from the off the tragedy that got her to that point.
Yeah. Um. And again, I feel like we'd be more invested in this if she didn't, because I think we both. How the fuck does Giant Troll care about a goddamn spider? Anyway, yeah, okay. Uh, Again, I think we both agreed, like, if Supergirl was part of, like, the Justice Gang or some type equivalent to that in the first Superman movie, like, replace her with Hawkgirl or something,
If
it
she
would have
had if she had more time, we could have seen her in more modes than just comedically drunken cynic person.
I mean, to be fair, with Supergirl, I mean, the Cynic thing kind of makes sense, again, with her kind of whole character.
Yeah, but that's one of my biggest problems with the movie. They never let her trauma be treated as trauma. Like we never actually see her sad or morose or like she just not to be rude about it, but she just has resting bitch face. And if we got to see more of the quote unquote humanity underneath the cynic, underneath the rage, underneath the nihilism, that would be one thing. But we don't get much of that. We don't get to see her actually sitting with the reason why she drinks. We just see her we just see her as, frankly, the mouthy, middle-aged or late 20-something party girl who's trying to cover something up with booze, and we don't really get much deeper into the something else to make it that have context. It suffers from a lesser degree, mind you, because Millie Alcott is at least trying, of the Captain Marvel problem, where we're supposed to be on her side of her having resting bitch face, but all it really does is make her supremely unlikable.
Sorry.
Like, we never see her grieve. I think that's the one thing that would, like, that more than anything else would help here.
I think it starts to kind of show. I think they kind of try to show her linger on it. You know, like I don't, like you say, it doesn't really get time to breathe.
It's just it's just you get like a facial expression from her or something, and then the scene.
To be fair, with good acting and with good like directing of acting and stuff, those moments can be impactful. It's just they still need.
And movie in general do not let either of those things happen.
I was going to say the pacing doesn't let it really shine.
And here's another thing, both in and out of universe, as regards the pacing. So Clem, the main villain, who I swear to God is the most generic, like, sci-fi bad guy character in the history of the known universe, but Clem shoots Crypto with a kryptonite bullet. A kryptonite bullet he shouldn't even know.
Actually, not kryptonite. It is a poison. Slowly kills him in like 3 days.
Yeah. So he doses Crypto and says, "You will have 3 days to find the cure or he'll die," and blah 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 blah. Fine. I get what the movie's going for. What the movie's going for is the superhero equivalent of John Wick. That's what the movie is going for. The problem is that she has a maximum of 3 days, because he doesn't even say just 3 days. He says you will have up to 3 days, meaning that if the poison is more virulent than otherwise, he could be dead in a day for all we know. But the movie does not portray Kara having any degree of particular urgency about this. Like, there are comedic scenes where she just walks into a place asking questions, and at no point do we see her getting, antsy because her dog is dying. And it's like, and a lot of the times they stop, it's not even for plot reasons. It appears to just be because the movie wants to meander. And the problem there is, if you wanted the movie to meander, then don't set up the 3-day time clock. Because if you set up the 3-day time clock, then frankly, Kara is slightly unethical for not seeking a yellow sun as soon as she can get to one, because in a world where you have a 3-day time clock, having super speed would be a hell of an advantage, no?
No, I got nothing. For the basics of that. To be fair, I'm gonna be fully honest. If that's because I remember Batman Brave and the Bold, because that was kind of that was like Batman shows I remember growing up with.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I would have gone with a space pirate and just Supergirl and Crypto just getting caught up in like stopping some space pirates from doing some bad thing, and adapt this relatively recent comic from like early 2020, 22, Can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The comic in question is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
written by. I've heard it's good. I haven't looked into it, obviously. Just
I've heard a lot of people saying they butchered it in reviews of this movie.
somehow I don't doubt that, but regardless,
Angry Joe, I think, was the one that was the most disappointed by it, because of course Angry Joe is a massive, massive Superman fan, and he literally in his review was holding up a copy of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow graphic novel, and his criticism eventually devolved into him screaming about why in the hell would you try to adapt this comic without leaving in the whole fucking point of the comic. I can't speak to the accuracy of that statement. I suspect he's pretty close because I trust Angry Joe's opinion on Superman. I don't trust Angry Joe for much these days, but I do trust his fanboyism as regards the Superman mythos.
and to be fair, Angry Joe's not really a YouTuber I watch, so
Yeah, he's from the old school that guy with the glasses days.
no, I know that. I just
keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him for mostly nostalgia reasons.
still 15 minutes behind. In case you fixed it already, but Dalton is quiet. Like not mute, just okay. It's because he's okay. You're like you were. I can hear you now, but it might be just because you're away from your mic.
Possibly.
Yeah. Although someone pointed out that they might be trying to set up this is from the New 52, where Supergirl becomes a Red Lantern for a brief moment.
Mm.
So they might be kind of setting that up here, which is fine. That's cool.
It doesn't really help this movie's merits, though.
No.
Like honestly, having her still kind of nerfed at the end of the movie and having a Red Lantern ring be the thing that comes in clutch for her would frankly be more interesting than what actually happens, which is Deus Ex Yellow Sun all of a sudden.
Well, it's a planet in between suns. It's binary system.
Right, but it's still it still comes right the fuck out of nowhere and feels very much like a Deus Ex Machina, and borks the pacing yet again.
I don't know about that, but also, okay, you know what? Let's address it. Green sun, meaning it's a kryptonite sun.
Is that the context from the comics that green suns contain kryptonite?
It makes no fucking sense. Remnants of a radiated planet that exploded. I don't know how.
I just assumed that it was the wavelength, like all the other sun related shenanigans that did the thing.
Okay, it still doesn't make sense though. Why the fuck it would kill her that way?
Because green contains yellow. Yeah,
it just feels fucking contrived and stupid.
Yeah, they play essentially 3-card Monty with the suns the whole movie long, in an effort to not make the Kryptonian powers too OP. But I've said this before, and I will say it 1,000 more times as and when it is relevant. If you have to nerf your character's powers to make a story, quote unquote, interesting about them, which they failed to do in this instance, but never the fuck mind, you're not writing the character, you're writing the powers.
Okay, to be fair,
and if you don't understand,
I was gonna say there are stories they could be in, but you have to, one, show the character at the height of their power, taking it away and see what they can do without it. Like they're not just their power or whatever, right?
Right.
It can
But
be
the,
interesting, but
but the,
I
but
feel like can I hold on? Can I
go ahead.
last part here. The way that makes it in the thing is though, you have to establish character as competent both with and without their powers. Kara doesn't come away.
And furthermore, it has to feel organic and not like the writer basically playing act of God.
Yeah.
And the largest problem here is that every time Supergirl gets depowered, it feels like a writer's fiat act of God, where we can't let her actually have her powers because then this would be over too soon. Which again,
Yeah, that's
if if you're writing a story and the character's powers are such that you can't think of a way they can't one shot every instance, then you have written a shitty story because you shouldn't be writing the powers, you should be writing the character who's wielding them.
right. Also, I think that also leans into like conception people have basically about Superman. I guess Kryptonians overall, right?
The
They're
super
not.
god thing.
Yeah, they're not gods. They are extremely powerful mortals, but there are still alien species and other like beings in existence in the DC universe that can go toe to toe with them at their full might.
There is a reason why Superman is called Superman, because what Kryptonian powers do is they take human aptitudes, human abilities, and just turns them up to 11 or 11,000 or whatever. There are many powers more rightly associated with gods or godlike beings that Kryptonians, barring Elseworlds like Superman 1,000,000, never have. Superman has no ability for telepathy. He has no cosmic awareness. He has no reality warping. He has no control of the weather. He has no control of like elemental or foundational cosmic energies. All of these things are much closer to what you would assume a god would have. But Superman has none of these because all he really is at the end of the day is a man turned up to the maximum ideal of what would be physically possible. And that's the other thing. All of Superman or Supergirl's powers are one-dimensionally physical. They have no ability to address like alternate dimensional shit. They have no ability to address different planes of existence, different spiritual or metaphysical shit, etc.
I mean, they have a higher intelligence, but again, that's all really relative. What the fuck was I gonna say?
Like for all of the stupidity of the Dr. Manhattan versus Superman fights in Doomsday Clock, Dr. Manhattan is much closer to a quote unquote true god in terms of the things he can do than Superman is, because he's a being made of pure energy, which is not strictly physical in the traditional sense. That already makes him slightly more like a god. He does have cosmic awareness and awareness of time and shit like that. He does have fundamental force manipulation. He can, rewrite reality at a cosmological level, etc. And by the way, this is just me geek nitpicking here. A fight between Dr. Manhattan and Superman should last all of 5 seconds, because Dr. Manhattan should just be able to go, I'm removing the solar radiation from your cells. You are entirely human now.
Okay, all right. Okay, since I try to do this anytime we do a review of these movies. Granted, it was actually kind of hard because I can't really have any like strong feelings for the movie, so I didn't really feel the need to rewrite it. But I will attempt it. again, this would have been better if you added Supergirl to the Justice Gang. We get to explore a little more and maybe see her trying to get drunk or doing party and stuff.
Make her something other than a punchline.
Would have probably helped, like clear up things from for Clark about,
Addressing something DT said in the comics, he simped for the movie before he saw it. He was very upset with the movie after he saw it. People were razzing him after he saw it because he was as hard on the movie as he was, even though he simped for it before seeing it. That's the controversy that ended up following Angry Joe from the Supergirl review, because
actually, sorry,
he did everything he could to give that movie as many excuses as possible, and then it ended up having a negative review of it anyway.
Sorry. To be fair, if you have an OP character, you either need to nerf them or give them power lateral to their move to their powers, like super strength, but it's a mystery. What?
Set them. I think what he's saying is put them in a story where their powers aren't useful.
No, that.
But even I would disagree, because again,
it feels like you're writing yourself in a corner.
People overestimate the utility of the powers Superman has. This is why I get really annoyed at the.
Otherwise, there are very few ways you can make the plot and even that make them any sort of hero or moral, like toying with the enemies the whole time.
Philosophical issues. Like a great example of this is Dream of the Endless in Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Neil Gaiman's Sandman is a god in the way that Superman isn't even in the colloquial sense. But the stories he's in don't revolve around power. Yes, he can warp reality. Yes, he can, call in favors with eldritch beings and so on and so forth. But the things he's actually dealing with in the story are more about his personality and the kind of individual entity he is.
Also, sorry, Drenthal wrote this as you were talking. Self nerfs also count, like not wanting to unleash their full strength or whatever, for whatever reason. That's fair. That one's fair.
That one is the most justifiable nerf. If you have a character who has a certain set of powers that they don't want to use because they think it's unethical or because it wouldn't be fair or something, and with Superman you most definitely can do that because being a paragon is his whole shtick. That is in my head the only justifiable kind of nerfing. If you write an OP character, it is your job to make sure that the story is still interesting and doesn't necessarily revolve around their powers. Whether that's because of some philosophical issue, like Superman not wanting to use his full powers because everything is made of glass, or whether it's just a situation where a character like Superman doesn't have the powers he would need to have to actually fight the character. Because again, Superman has a high degree of power, but the powers he has are very, very basic ones. They're just human aptitudes or human tendencies turned up to their highest possible level.
Okay, I will be fully honest, because I know where this is going to go, given that it's YouTube talking. If you guys want to have this full in-depth conversation, I recommend like somewhere else later.
Yeah. The short version though is he's not a Nalgene or an Anodite or Dr. Manhattan or any of the actually gut-like things that this would actually be a meaningful argument. to.
Right. All right. Last thing before I rewrite this movie off cuff. Jason Momoa was pretty good.
Yeah, everyone knew it was going to be good. Everyone knew he was basically made in a lab to play this character, and it was just as made in a lab to play this character as everyone expected. That's kind of why that's kind of why part of my opening statement was this movie is exactly what you did be expecting if you kept an eye on anything relating to the movie in the lead up to it.
Yeah. Welcome, Drentrell. He's caught up now. That is a lateral move because you can rather easily solve the philosophical issue. Also, we need actors playing themselves. I don't think he was. That's Lobo. Like, that's just Lobo. That's not.
I mean, if a role is predisposed to an actor's personality, and it very much seems like Lobo always was, then
yeah, he's like, okay, well, I can send you a video regarding the history of Lobo if you're interested, Dragon Turtle. But Lobo was a parody of like the '80s like action hero and just like the kind of comics at the time. And I didn't mean the actor sort of say that she was. Oh, okay. Sorry. I mean, didn't the actress sort of say that she was just playing herself? That other people said it. I forget. I don't think she. No, that was that interview we talked. We covered like about a couple weeks ago, right? Like the, she was kind of comparing the character to Wolf and like how she got into the headspace of Kara, right? Like when she was getting picked for the character, for the role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am not personally against typecasting. If you're an actor who's good at playing a specific kind of role, and you enjoy playing a specific kind of role, all the more power to you. I don't really subscribe to the theory that every actor needs to be able to disappear into every role they play, because sometimes a key goes in a lock. Like Jonathan Delancey, who plays Q in Star Trek, plays Discord in MLP, plays like a Faustian deal-making demon in The Librarians. He likes playing an omnipotent trickster character. He's good at playing an omnipotent trickster character, and people like seeing him as an omnipotent trickster character. It should be that simple for an actor who's good at figuring out what niche they go in. Sometimes actors are not good at figuring out what niche they go in, and that is part of a problem. But as a general rule, I am not against typecasting, and I'm not a range simp. I really despise this idea that if you can't play a completely different character, then you're a bad actor. Or maybe they just know on which side their bread is buttered, so to speak.
Okay, hold on. Still worse, Jones, though. So many people just play themselves in roles, want their face all over it. People act like they are all from LA, below a thin surface layer in every story, a thinly veiled metaphor for nothing.
Yep.
Hold on. I can accept when this just happens to fit on this, that they don't let it go to their fucking head like so many people do.
Okay, that's what the second thing you described there is a completely different thing. Bending the writing or the story you're in so that you can play yourself is bad.
Okay, guys.
What a responsible actor who is in favor of being typecast needs to do is figure out what roles they belong in organically and then pursue them.
Okay.
Writers don't have that excuse. Writers cannot do typecasting very well.
You're good, Giant Turtle. It's just like you guys are two very smart people who have a lot of in-depth knowledge about this stuff and also a lot of philosophical opinions. on
And
things.
we're pedantic assholes
Yes.
who split hairs all the fucking time.
I was trying to be nice about that part. So
Well, good for all parties concerned that I'm not nice.
okay, but right, okay. Like I said, I also didn't really have a lot of time to really think about rewriting this movie because I've been super busy at work and it's been fucking almost near 100 degrees every day for the last week. So my brain has been firing on all cylinders. So I'm gonna kind of do this off the cuff then for rewriting Supergirl.
Actually, would you rather do this after the Supergirl article then, to give yourself more time to?
I mean, I was starting to form an idea as we were talking about the movie. So
Okay.
plus, I don't want to like take away from any time we're gonna, Arch had an interesting point. Doesn't this like a Lobo movie? To be fair, I kept expecting that he was gonna go after another bounty on what was the villain's name?
Krim.
Krim. There's no way no way a guy like Krim doesn't have a bounty at somewhere, some way.
Honestly, I think in the name of, rewriting this, since everyone knew going in that Lobo was going to be a standout of this movie, why not have him take a bounty on Supergirl? Have her fuck something up on one of her drunken escapades, but because she's, superhuman and shit, she can't be touched. And so somebody goes to the main man and gets a contract out on Kara.
Right. It's actually not too bad. I was gonna go a little different. Still kind of keeping I was actually gonna make it more galactic trotting. Is that the right? Is that right? Or
intergalactic, I think, is the word you were looking for.
Intergalactic trotting.
No, just
I was gonna say
you can't trot in space because to trot implies a ground that you're walking on.
I was gonna say globe trotting, which advent, right?
That works because Earth has like ground on it, man.
Yeah, you really are a pedantic asshole that really splits hairs. Okay.
I know what you were going for, but I'm trying to help you not sound dumb.
Okay, I don't know everything I've heard of the plots for this movie makes it sound like if you replace Kara with makes a lot more sense for the character. Just no dog motivation, and he doesn't come into the plot until that hires him.
Well, the problem is Lobo is in this movie all of 5 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes if I'm stretching. So no, Arch, I'm sorry. This is not a Lobo movie because Lobo simply isn't in it enough. And no, it doesn't really work for Lobo as the main character either, because for all that he is a badass biker dude of the stars, so to speak, he's not a drunk. Like Lobo is the kind of tough guy party boy who likes getting in bar fights, but he doesn't intentionally nerf himself by drinking or anything.
Okay, know that it should have been like the writers written it as such and had to switch it.
No, this is very obviously based, however badly, on a Supergirl comic. It's just really, really shit. At no point was this written for Lobo. In fact, Lobo, you could write him out of the thing and it would probably improve the pacing slightly, although it would rob the movie of one of its better aspects.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with intergalactic trotting. Just one, because it pisses you off. Two, you made it such a thing that I'm doing it out of spite.
That's not how English works.
Motherfucker, English doesn't work at all.
Just drop the trotting. The word you're looking for is intergalactic.
Fuck off.
Or maybe galaxy spanning was the word you were looking for. There's nothing to trot against if you're not on an Earth-like thing. Because trot comes from the same root word as like where we get the word turf from.
Moving on. I'll say yes. Blame. I do. Yeah. You're still missing a movement type replacement. Yeah. Okay. It's fair enough. Anyway. It is an adventure. Again, Kara trying to Dragon Girl and saying that trying for space is entirely consistent with English. So
I don't think it is etymologically speaking. Etymologically speaking, the words turf, trudge, and trot all come from similar roots, meaning dirt or ground.
anyway, that is true. You didn't say logical, said English. So we've gone over this with the English language. Makes no fucking sense. Dalton, let's be fully fair on it.
No, but that doesn't mean we should butcher it intentionally.
I don't think I am, but fair. Okay. Anyway,
Galaxy spanning adventure.
thank you.
Go on.
I will say I'm not going to be, mainly because I don't know a lot of Supergirl stories. I'll be fully honest. So I feel like this kind of has to be original from my end.
Mm-hmm. It really would have been better, I think, if they had gone with an original story, because the comic they were allegedly adapting got butchered, as Angry Joe points out.
I am sure there are videos regarding the comic, which I might want to check out just out of curiosity. Okay, Galaxy Adventure. But I'm actually of two minds because I want to replace them. It's either going to be Kanjor Row, specifically the version Galaxy Flapping Adventure. Okay.
Are you imagining me like fucking eternity? Is that what the flapping is signifying there, DT?
I think just how birds move more so in space.
Like what?
Flapping.
Okay. But there's no air resistance in space to require the never mind.
Okay. Anyway, one thing, space taxi she'd be using than whatever bus she was using, because that's smaller and it's a very known DC character. It's an actual thing, by the way. Like,
I was thinking in like Rick and Morty terms of fucking a planet, but you said universe flapping, which made me think of like screwing the embodiment of the universe or some shit.
no one has a dirty mind. The short and sweet of that, I guess. Anyway, I'm two minds of, because Kara's hanging on Red Suns. She's paying the space taxi, which again, it's a DC character. Basically, he ferries people across the universe for a price, like a taxi cab driver. He's basically like a taxi cab driver. Like,
wasn't there an extended taxi cab aspect to the Fifth Element?
Well, the main character. I'm not.
Yeah. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from that. It's a good idea. I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying that's what that made me think of. Was Fifth Element.
And yet you hate the Fifth Element, so
I do. It's not because there aren't good ideas in it. It's because the movie is ass and does nothing with them.
I mean, I had fun with it, but granted, I was pretty young, so. Anyway, again, lines of two the antagonists. Since they already referenced, they had Mongal in the Suicide Squad, even though she just makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You could go Mongol, who is a Superman villain, who, you could set up World at some point, like Mongol is,
They probably should. He's one of Superman's more potent enemies.
At least an orange. Some people think yellow is orange or yellow. Yellow, no, orange, dark side. Kind of. So.
Mm-hmm.
So you could really publish him differently here, obviously. I don't know the specifics of Mongol's story, but overall, maybe he could kidnap Crypto as a means of a Kryptonian beast to run like a prototype of War World or something like that.
Or hell, this is me borrowing a little bit from an episode of Star Trek, but I think it's a good idea, and I think it can work for Mongol. In Star Trek, there was a villain in a TNG episode called Kifas Fajo, who basically was a collector who collected like rare or dying things from rare or dying worlds, and sometimes he would actively destroy worlds so that the stuff in his collection would be rare.
Brainiac.
If Mongol, well, no, because it's more like Control Freak from the Teen Titans. It's more of a collector's fanboy thing, or if you remember Lenny from that one episode of Powerpuff Girls. It's basically that. But yeah, have Mongol have like a private zoo or something on War World, and have him like kidnap Crypto to be part of that or something.
Yeah. Or the other one, which I was going to go the space pirate route. It's still kidnapping, obviously, since they already established that Crypto is her dog.
Right. Of course, there you have the problem of what do they have that can contain a Kryptonian dog, I wonder.
Red Sun Lamp Kennel.
That implies there's more knowledge of Kryptonians in the world than there realistically should. That was one of my biggest problems with the darts when I thought that they were kryptonite darts, because there's only 2 Kryptonians and a dog in the DC universe, at least as far as we know. So how in the fuck would anyone even know they needed kryptonite?
I'm working with what I got here. Man. It's perfect, but I mean, it's better than the 3-day thing. Obviously, at least Crypto's alive. So, but yeah, I mean, it's set on World. That actually work a lot better. Because you could actually meet some of the cosmic foes or that are trapped there. Which, I mean, it does kind of become an ensemble sort of there, but which, I mean, you could actually adapt Superman War World, which came out a few years ago instead. But with place with, I realize that's.
Frankly, I think it works better with Kara because she's more aggressive and warlike than Clark is.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the whole point with Superman and World War, I think. Again, it's one of those newer ones that I haven't really. I know who Transine is. Giant Troll. I've looked into that more.
Yeah, but that does need to be like a episode of some comedic, like a Robot Chicken style thing. Honestly, that'd be cool. That 3 different intergalactic collectors walk into a space bar. Lol.
None. No need to be sorry, man. I just weird collection of knowledge that you never really know what patch. It's such a patchwork that you never really know. No one knows, not even Dalton.
Brainstormer has a very inconsistent knowledge of popular culture. There are things that he knows that surprise me, and then there are, in my head, plainly obvious things that I then have to educate him on. Granted, it's because he was too busy having the superhero style tragic origin story for most of his childhood.
Thank you.
That's why I say you becoming Spider-Man wouldn't change much. You've basically been auditioning for the role of Spider-Man your entire life. Lol.
You're not wrong. Anyway, yeah. Now we talked about it, yeah, Bull being, because well, one thing I think he does represent more darker version of Super in terms of aggression. Hold on, I'm gonna look up Mongol's story because there could be interesting parallel already. Actually, hold on.
Because I mean, doesn't he build World from scratch specifically because he doesn't have a world anymore?
That's on. Let me look it up.
Nice parallels of finding home and trauma and shit. If I'm remembering correctly.
Give me a second. Okay. Or Zune. Sees the son of World Prime upon his father's death. Okay, hold on. Oh no, it seems World is his home. Like yeah. Even though it's an artificial world, but
I would have thought there would be deeper backstory as to how he built an entire artificial world.
I mean, that could be, this is a different continuity, and honestly, would make a lot more sense.
Well, yeah, that as a premise by itself, I think could be really interesting, and it's certainly not the most out of left field, specific to James Gunn's universe thing they've done. Cough, cough, the Jor-El thing is probably still the single stupidest and most counterproductive, unique twist they've done so far.
Oh yeah, if we're gonna go with that, created world. Well, I was looking at it. So apparently, his sister united War World. Like their species called the Warzoons.
Mm-hmm.
United War World under his rule. Basically, his bloodline's been keeping it as it is for however long.
Come to think of it, there's also an interesting parallel potentially with Lobo, because he slaughtered his whole race, as far as I remember.
I believe, again, there's a video that actually covers him. Like it's like a 50-minute long video that if anyone's interested, I can send it to them. That basically said that Lobo was the equivalent to the Antichrist of the Zarnians. Most of his people were basically like immortal and peace-loving people, and he was the one that was born.
So basically, in the same way that Thanos is the ultimate deviant in the Marvel Universe.
Yes. It killed his entire race as a science fair project.
Because he basically just wanted to see if he could do it. Yep. Yep,
I'm
I
not
remember.
joking. Fashioned a virus to kill everyone but himself for a
Because he wanted
science
to
fair
see if he could.
project.
Because he wanted to see if he could do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Lobo killed his people. Thanos,
In the comics, he basically just owns his people for all being weaklings relative to himself. But
because he's an Eternal.
yeah, well, a
Never
deviant
gets.
eternal. But yes,
I
he
was bringing that up because no one knows that in the
yeah
MCU.
he's basically the ultimate deviant in the comics.
Yeah, which again, which actually is a mutant to the Eternals.
Yeah. But basically, when the X gene triggers in the Eternals, it makes deviants. Which they could have killed so many birds with a single stone if they had tied the Eternals movie back to Thanos and then used that as a segue to bring up the mutant X gene.
I
But
we're not gonna talk about it.
that's
It's
a
something
different.
else.
That's a different.
Yeah.
I've done that rant many times before, and I probably will again, but not today.
Yeah.
We have stuff to do.
So okay. So Warworld set on there. She comes there to re-crypto, and in order to do that, she has to basically go through a tournament on Warworld. Basically has to
Which-
unite.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say unite like various other prisoners and slaves and stuff that have been on there. Again, very similar to what I understand of Superman War World.
Also, a little bit of since obviously they would be looking for like cinematic parallels as well. A little bit of Thor Ragnarok there. Also,
Maybe Gladiator too. Actually, not
speaking of
I mean the Gladiator first movie, not Gladiator 2.
yeah, Gladiator 2 as in TOO rather than 2 as in the number.
Yeah.
I got you. But funny parallel they could do since they're already trying to pseudo James Gunn it. You know how Hulk likes it on Sakaar because here his more aggressive, destroy everything tendencies are appreciated. You could have Kara actually kind of get distracted by the like celebrity life of being a combatant in the gladiatorial arena.
And I was thinking of some. Okay, if we're gonna do to the the DC Cosmic side, which never really gets as much, except for like the report.
Mm-hmm. As bad as the director they were originally going to get for the New Gods movie, I still maintain that doing a New Gods movie would have been a good idea.
No, yeah, I agree. But since it's on War World, which a lot of people get to, and you know, I do Adam Strange, obviously, because why not?
Set up Ron while you're at it, yeah. Also, maybe
actually, hold on. The reason why those are there along with Supergirl is because Mongol has taken hostages of all of them and is forcing them to compete in this like tournament, War World tournament, where to whoever wins gets their loved one back, and everyone else dies. Right?
So basically, the Pegasus maneuver from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah. It's been a while since Yu-Gi-Oh, so forgive me.
Yeah, but
so
another one. Sorry.
So
another DC reference to throw in here. I forget the actual character's name, but Brother Eye, the one that's powered by Brother Eye.
Omac. But that's an Earth-based thing. It's literally light that, so it wouldn't work.
Shit.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm looking through like a lot of the DC channel characters. Maybe Gem. He's a Saturnarian.
Right. Sorry, my millennial coded brain being as it is
Gem in the
into Gem,
holograms.
I immediately thought of Gem in the holograms again.
Yeah, he's a Saturnarian. He's actually an ally of Martian Manhunter. So,
Mm.
um,
Assuming they wanted to like Easter egg characters for later, you could even have John there. You know, one of the last Martians is certainly world worthy. I think.
Space Cabbie. I'm sorry, not Space Taxi. Space Cabbie.
Yeah, but either way,
Yeah, like he was the one, flying for other places when she was on a Red Sun arc.
yeah.
And I mean, it would be kind of a stretch. Starfire, I think she should be here. To be fair,
That hell, if you wanted to keep the human trafficking element of Supergirl, which they had for some reason, even though they did sweet fuck and all with it, you could have since Starfire is a teenager, you could have her be a captive on Warworld.
I mean that actually is part of her story, like her backstory.
Yeah,
She was to a enemy race that had bested her people, like royal hostages.
yeah, and then
Is that what they were?
and that would have a twofold positive because not only would you set up Starfire for eventual Titan shenanigans if you wanted to, you could also have Kara be particularly protective of her because she's a teenager, and
Yeah,
so
you'd like kind of a little younger actress, obviously.
yeah.
Actually, you
So
could get the actress who
she'll have
played.
time to age into the role by the time we get around to doing Teen Titans shit. Maybe make her 12 or something here.
Yeah, well, she was very young when she was given to the enemy of the Temerians that bested them. So
Yeah, so like 8, 9, 10, maybe 10 or
you
12.
could maybe just to reuse casting, use the actress who played the girl in the actual Supergirl movie.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't bad.
Ruthie, you mean?
Ruth-
Yeah, since we already effectively have a female sort of buddy comedy thing going, or buddy movie thing going on here, having that be Coriander, having that be Corey, I think could work a lot because it would give some substance to the human trafficking meme that they did here, and it amounted to sweet fuck all other than a Fury Road reference. And it would set up Teen Titans, and it would have Kara caring about something other than herself, and even maybe seeing her have a quasi like big sister or maternal vibe to her, which would go a certain way to make her much more sympathetic, I should think.
Lobo's there. Well, for one thing, I would assume for the bounty on Moss. Let's be honest, that dude's gonna have one.
Oh yeah. Also for fun, because Lobo doesn't do anything he doesn't think is fun.
Oh yeah. I just wouldn't let him have that.
He'd be such a showboat. He'd basically be remember in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, the wrestler who
Bonesaw.
Yeah. He'd be Mongol's main attraction for Fight Night, basically. Fucking Randy Savage ass bitch. Getting Jason Momoa to do a like Macho Man Randy Savage impression, or
he was kind of on that, right? So yeah,
it'd just be doubling down, but it would make it extra funny.
Yeah, that totally works. Maybe one of the six, because I know a couple of them go to space. There's like one space-bound Starman.
I feel like at least one of the Lantern Corps races has to show up at some point.
Eh,
Not saying it has to be here. I'm just saying that was something to think about.
yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm looking to see. Okay, Prince Gavin. I think he's
Jason Momoa as Lobo doing a Randy Savage impression would basically be like the Boulder from Avatar. Ah.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I got it. I got it. So, kind of who joins Kara's little rebellion against all, who all have a reason, right?
Mhm.
It's Adam Strange, wife.
Mhm.
Well, Starfire mainly because she's a slave and wants freedom and all that, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Lobo more towards the end, really.
He just wants the bounty on Mongol.
Yeah. And Prince Gavin, Starman.
Mhm.
Uh,
And this would all have the added benefit of since we're playing with the James Gunn playbook, here is your ragtag band of misfits.
yeah. Gavin, spoiled playboy prince of an alien empire, which contains 24 inhabited worlds, which would be his. I'm gonna actually be. It's gonna be his sister,
Mm-hmm.
Clarissa. It's being held.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Wouldn't Starfire also be there if
Not
Starfire?
necessarily. They've been separated before.
What? No, I think it was Blackfire was the one. She's like the older. They're not like.
Mm-hmm.
She wants. She's trying to get rid of her sister
Mm-hmm.
because some like.
So if anything, it could be Blackfire that sold Corey into bondage.
I think that's how it worked actually in her actually. So
Yeah. Some Joseph and the Dreamcoat type shit there.
yeah.
Plus, it would set up Blackfire being a bitch, which she is. So valid.
I'm not gonna get into how much I hated, how much I've hated, how much they've kind of fucked over Starfire in the last couple decades.
Yeah, the Glen Arakami series is still the gold standard for Teen Titans things.
Mm.
And the less said about Titans, the better.
Anyway, that could be the movie, and just talking about it now, it's. I wish we had this.
Yep, it is our lot in life to imagine better worlds so that somewhere out there in the multiverse, another version of us can appreciate that they live in a better world where ideas like this almost always work.
Okay, that was
The lucky bastards. I hope you will someday grow to appreciate the shit we go through for you people.
Okay. So keeping on the bandwagon, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Is from comicbookmovie.com. Supergirl becomes a target for conservative pundits as DC's game seemingly begins. Written by Josh Wilding, published June 30th, 2026. Subheader: Supergirl is now coming under fire from conservative. its huge complaints about the movie are, well, more than a little odd. A new report also explores what went wrong with the film.
I hate to burst this particular bubble, but pretty much everyone who's seen Supergirl thinks it's fine at best, and quite a lot of people have quite more criticisms of the thing. I don't think it's just conservatives or conservative pundits here. It's a bit like saying the only people who had a problem with the Marvels or Velma were quote unquote conservatives. Like, no, it's just not a particularly great movie. Particularly as a follow up to the previous Superman movie.
Yeah. Okay. In the wake of Supergirl's disappointing opening weekend, DCO's is being tried by the Hollywood trades. Deadline is the latest to weigh in. Suggests the movie will lose as much as $125 million by the end of its box office run.
Probably. It opened with just 37 million domestically and a total of 67 worldwide. So that's not a very good start. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a much better movie, that being Masters of the Universe, that opened around that same area and fell 70% or so in its second weekend. And the reception to Masters of the Universe was a lot more positively mixed than Supergirl, which pretty much everybody, the most they can say positive about it is that it's fine. A lot of people are, like I say, a lot harsher on the thing.
All right. Okay, not to be an egomaniac. Well, I'm never one. I feel if our iteration of Supergirl came out, the whole disappointing opening weekend would be a problem.
It would have performed much better on the grounds of being a much better movie, most likely.
Actually, okay, I'm sorry. Who would you cast as Mongol? Because if I remember correctly, it was it Ron Perlman who voiced him in Just.
Honestly, he could probably pull it off. You'd probably have to use CGI to turn him into like Mongol, but I don't foresee a world where Ron Perlman would turn down the role.
I mean, I can definitely see the voice. I don't want to push the guy, given his age and all.
True, but that only is relevant if we're doing it with makeup rather than CG. We can.
I feel like it's. Yeah, I mean, for fights, obviously, it has to be.
I mean, Ron Perlman is quite a big, scary dude. Like the dude is 6'5", so you don't really have to do much in the way of augmentation for his stature or anything.
I was just thinking like it could be a mix, like a practical head, like practical makeup on, so
yeah,
be there emoting and all that.
I see no reason why he wouldn't say yes to this role, and it would certainly make the central villain protagonist or villain antagonist much better. Because again, so, Krem is.
I'm sorry. No, I do agree. Krem was not a great villain.
Utterly useless.
The actor was playing him pretty fun actually.
He was trying to give him a little bit of sleazebag charisma. But in terms of writing and in terms of the role he played in the story, it's just
inconsequential.
So shit.
Yeah. But okay, and hear me out. I don't know if have you ever seen the anime Afro Samurai?
I have heard of it. I don't think I've ever watched it.
Well, it was produced by Sam Jackson because Sam Jackson's a big anime fan. He even voiced a character in there.
Sam Jackson is right up there with Christopher Lee in terms of the sheer just like geek wish fulfillment that the man goes through.
Yeah. But Ron Perlman played the main antagonist, a zombie cowboy called Justice.
So So what you're telling me is if I had a nickel for every time Ron Perlman played the undead, I would have at least 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. You know, because he was also the witch in Adventure Time.
Yeah, but the voice I want from Mongol is not like a deep, kind of the opposite of Thanos, actually, for the MCU. I would like him to do the voice he did for Justice, where it was very more of a whispery, slightly higher pitched. It was very unsettling,
Mm.
and it would not match Mongol's physical form.
Right.
But I think that's what would add to the menace, actually.
Yeah, the uncanny juxtaposition there. A little bit like Jared Leto's Skeletor a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of Master of the Universe references, which I hear that even though that movie is not doing financially well, Amazon already has plans for a sequel, so that's good.
Anyway, shall we?
Yep.
However, it seems that there's also some very lightly finger pointing these websites, while highly reliable, are often fed information to create the narrative a studio or high-ranking Hollywood figure wants. Unnamed source essentially fired Gal Gadot from her role as Wonder Woman in the trades after she repeatedly talked about writing to a third movie that obviously came from DC Studios, despite James Gunn remaining on the matter on Threads.
Okay,
Then-
just a minor thing here. The trades are not reliable any more than any other piece of mainstream media is. The age where we could just rely on the media to tell the truth, if it ever existed, is long gone.
Moving on, or
Yep, moving on.
okay, I wasn't sure if you were pausing or.
No, go ahead.
All right. Then there was Dwayne the Rock Johnson leaking information and ancillaries and a Hawkman movie in a bid to make his Black Adam happen.
I really would have liked to have seen a world where DC didn't shoot themselves in the dick by announcing James Gunn too early.
Yeah.
And we could have seen Black Adam pass or fail on its merits because it had those. I also, once again, because I am me, continue to imagine the world where we could have gotten a period piece set JSA movie starring Dr. Fate, like with Dr. Fate as the leader, played by Matt Smith, with Enza being played by Rebecca Ferguson, aka Rose the Hat from Doctor Sleep, or Jessica from Dune. But that's again me wish fulfilling the multiverse where we got a good Doctor Fate trilogy into existence again.
Right. To be fair, I wouldn't mind a Hawkman movie because Hawkman has kind of been shit over the longest time now, and Aldous Hodge played him really cool.
It would also give an excuse to bring Pierce Brosnan's Doctor Fate back because they had a mentor student friend relationship for a long time. So if you made this like a younger Hawkman getting mentored by Kent,
Either that or I don't know what version of Hawk, because it kind of kept it ambiguous.
you could have actually gotten one set in ancient Egypt with
the jet of nth metal, that kind of means that he might Thanagarian, but then his wings aren't like, they're armor, so it's kind of hard to.
There are many possibilities for a good Hawkman movie. I'm just pointing out that if you make it at least a younger Hawkman with Dr. Fate as the mentor, we get more Pierce Brosnan Dr. Fate without needing to retcon away his death. Even though his death was unnecessary, and I really despise the need to constantly play musical chairs with the fucking helm, but yeah. One of the key emotional moments in Black Adam was the tragic ending of Kent sacrificing himself. So like the work is already done there to get that ball rolling.
All right. In this report, it said, I told dissertation by Hightown actress Ana Neguerta, was beloved eternally and considered ready to go, coming away from testing DC. There were hurdles ahead. Response to Supergirl was good, right? And that just doesn't fly with any superhero movie today. I think we can. There have been a lot of movies that are great that we've seen and covered on this channel. Again, I'm specifically mean superhero movies, right?
Yeah.
I think the issue is that they admit that I don't agree with like the whole fucking testing thing. Testing and shit. I just feel like that's not. I don't know. I feel like I don't know how that exactly works. Like, how the fuck is that supposed to happen? You know, I just feel like you gotta release it and just let people decide. You know, average people. But
that would require Hollywood to be willing to take a risk for 5 minutes, and unfortunately, in today's day and age, they are not.
Yeah. Okay. The inference is that it wasn't Neguerta's script that problem, despite it being torn apart in reviews. That leaves only filmmaker Gillespie, who could arguably make the better scapegoat of the two.
I think if Gillespie wasn't just trying to do a James Gunn really, really hard, the movie would have been better. Because I liked Cruella, and I thought Atomic Blonde was okay. I think if he were left to his own devices rather than trying to like mimic the shit out of James Gunn, the movie probably would have been better. But then again, maybe that's just me.
All right. Who would arguably make the script go of the two when the writer has already been for Wonder Woman and Teen Titans movies? Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean the writer is good, because we've seen bad writers just get project epic.
Yeah, she's also a very inexperienced writer. This was the first non-short film she ever made, which I would argue that having someone cut their teeth on something meant to be a tentpole blockbuster is a dick move.
Oh yeah,
it's a little bit like Michael Waldron. He made one decent episode of Rick and Morty, and they fast-tracked him to be the writer of the Loki show, and then fast-tracked him again to be the writer of Multiverse of Madness, which I don't even necessarily blame him very much at that point. That's just you're being asked to do something that even an experienced writer would have an issue with as like your second or third fucking go around being a writer. And I think this is another case where you shouldn't make someone's feature debut a massive fucking tentpole blockbuster.
Although given the idea we had of putting Starfire in the Supergirl movie.
Yeah, having synergy between Supergirl and Teen Titans would work. It's a dick move to make somebody who's never made anything longer than a short film suddenly responsible for your tentpole blockbuster.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the best thing to do is put her on a TV series first.
And then if she proves to be good at that, then maybe consider upping her to the big leagues.
Yeah, because relatively, like if you let her just write an episode, right? That's relatively just a little longer, longer or in-depth short film, more or less.
For as much as we sometimes give Hollywood shit for the weird procedural way they do things, there is some logic to have somebody make their debut as like a independent film or a really like micro budget horror film or something, and then once that Curry Barker, who did Obsession, after the massive success that Obsession is, he's very obviously going to get fast tracked to big budget blockbuster status. But he has earned it a hell of a lot more because he took between $750,000 and $1 million and is now about to turn it into somewhere in the early 400s money wise. That's the kind of performance you want somebody to have as their like debut to the big screen. You don't want to force somebody who can barely manage a $1 million production to suddenly have to deal with a $400 million production. Throwing somebody who just learned how to swim into the deepest possible part of the deep end and then expecting them to be fine. But moving on.
Sorry, I'm back. I was just getting another drink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to find out where it was again. That or Gunn and Peter Sack's pace leave much to be desired. I mean, a little bit.
I mean, there's definitely a strong case for DC needs to get their shit together and realize what in all the fucks they are doing. But DC has been of want for knowing what the fuck they were doing since like 2013. DC has been treading water since Man of Steel because they simply don't know or understand the characters they're working with, and they really don't want to either. When they get something right, they get something right basically completely by happenstance. They have no idea what they're doing at any given moment. And this movie definitely demonstrates, whether you like it or not, that they still have very little idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair with this stuff we've done so far, just these talking sessions during our reviews of these movies are.
We managed to, in the space of about 20 minutes, do more work than the writers of these movies have done in the space of like 6 months. Which isn't saying that we're uniquely talented or nothing. It's saying that Hollywood are a bunch of cretins who need to put in their money's worth of work when they show up at work every day. Because
I will say that
we are paid nothing but fandom desire to do this. And yet we can do more in 20 minutes than 5 writers can in 6 months while being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to do it. Incidentally, Warner Brothers, if you would like us to help, but by all means, please pay us several $100,000 and then we'll talk. But they're never going to do that because for whatever reason they see the internet as the enemy rather than a resource to be exploited.
You done?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, I was going to make the point of I feel it's been 2 years since the announcement, though. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. But I am somewhat more optimistic regarding Clay, actually.
Yeah, Clayface looks good, but if it's good, as we just covered, it will be good basically by happenstance, not because they planned it.
No, to be fair, it's again, I am fully on board with letting the directors work on these properties, put their own style and spin on it.
Yeah, their unique flavor is supposed to be part of the point. That's
Yeah.
why Multiverse of Madness was so much better than the first Doctor Strange, because there was so much Sam Raimi-ism in it that it worked really, really well.
May I?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Obviously, I think Supergirl was that, unfortunately.
Somebody told Gillespie to do a James Gunn impersonation, basically. Seems to be the problem.
Yeah. Farker didn't know he did Cruella and
Atomic Blonde is the other one he did.
I watched Atomic Blonde. It was good. I enjoyed it. That's just me.
I really liked Cruella. Cruella was actually really good, actually. By the standards of Disney live action remakes, maybe, but it was. It's still probably the best Disney live action remake since the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians.
Okay. Giant Turtle says, "I'm sorry, this just came to my head with the idea of actually doing that and hiring you for it. You need to put a chick in it and make it gay. Okay, I'll get the chick. You make it gay."
Oh, the fan servicey things I could do if I were left in charge of making things gay. That makes me think of Keep It Gay from the producers. Keep it gay, keep it gay, keep it gay.
I've never seen this.
You need to watch Producers.
Which version?
Honestly, the 2005 adaptation of the musical was pretty great. And it's got Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick in it, so there's only so much that can go wrong.
I'm gonna point this out. Oftentimes, we never even like us specifically when we do reviews. We hardly ever when it's like bad,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can tell it's been meddled with. We never blame like the filmmaker or the writer or anyone that really worked on the movie.
Yeah, because you can obviously see when either they were told not to do anything of substance, or when the studio is looking over their shoulder trying to focus group and suit their way to success rather than letting people who are allegedly supposed to be hired as creatives do their fucking job. Granted, there are also sometimes creatives don't do their fucking job, looking at you, Zack Snyder, but that's a different story.
I would say that's actually more rare, to be fair.
It is. Granted, with modern day art schools the way they are, that is becoming increasingly more common, but that's a different story altogether as well. Short of burning down academia, I'm not sure how we can fix that problem.
Right. God, was I? Fuck, I had something.
You were talking about how we try our best to give everybody involved the benefit of the doubt.
Right. Yeah, usually it is like studio executive interference that causes a film to be Avi Arad. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Everyone knows that mother is a piece of shit that fucks up everything he touches.
Avi Arad, the bane of many things. Or
no, I will.
Another good example is
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I will give the credit that at least in the early 2000s, he helped create kind of the basis that would be the foundation for modern superhero movies. But after everything kind of started to take off, he still kind of kept into the mentality of the early 2000s and didn't really allow things like himself to really grow and
and much of what made those movies good were not related to him. He just kind of got grandfathered in by proxy. Many times it was a strong director or creative like Sam Raimi, or just the good casting, for example, of X, the Fox X-Men movies. Because for as shit as those movies were, they did nail the casting, and that counted for a lot.
All right. Uh,
Another good example would be Scott Buck, who famously butchered the Inhumans and Iron Fist.
I can't tell if it's a joke, Drangel, but I'll play it straight. Avi is a guy who's known for, well, he's a producer, mostly at Sony. Basically, yes. He was responsible for producing, like Sam Spider-Man. He was the reason why Spider-Man 3 kind of sucked because he forced Venom to be included.
Whereas Sam Raimi really wanted to do Vulture instead.
Now, that was a movie. It was supposed to be Sandman for the third movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically, when you hear people talking about superhero movies getting nerfed by the corporate suits at the top, Avi Arad is Sony's corporate stooge at the top.
Don't get me started on him. Like, for one thing, I grew up with Spider-Man more so, which I dug, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man 2 got super fucked butchered by Avi Arad because that was not... I don't know... I'm not sure anyone's really aware of my original plan, but it was supposed to be very... It was supposed to be very different relative to what we got.
Mm-hmm.
I did like some things in Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Avi Arad and Amy Pascal are the corporate suits at the top of the Sonyverse hierarchy that you can blame things like the Venom movies, Morbius, and Madam Web on.
Again, I can honestly, and I don't think we ever actually reviewed movies. Well, Morbius, because I did see that, but those movies I still think have potential. Like, they have a bones to it, but
the Venom movies were more on the positive side of the old school style of superhero movie that didn't really have much respect for the comics. But then again, you had Morbius and Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter that were the bad side of the era. I call it the beta test era, where they didn't really have much faith in the source material and just turned everything into the most generic possible sci-fi action movie. The comic book movie era.
Yeah, and again, I remember this when we reviewed Kraven. I think if it focused... Yeah, it came out a year ago?
Yeah.
Drangel was asking.
Yeah, it came and went, and nobody cared because it was terrible, or at least not. Okay, gun to my head, Morbius is probably the worst of them. Then Madam Web, and then Kraven. Kraven is probably the least bad of the non-Spider-Man movies, with the exception of Venom, and the Venom trilogy.
Oh,
but still,
actually, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Also, whose idea was to name their hunt character something meaning coward?
That is from the comics, so you're gonna have to take that up with the original comic writers.
Stan Lee Luco intentionally chose it as an oxymoron, fearless hunter named coward, or as a subtle nod to the cow lion, given his feline-themed costume.
Well, that, and also, Craven doesn't just mean coward, it means, like, degenerate. The idea that the bloodlust of a hunter is inherently degenerate is also kind of in there.
To be fair, that's debated by literary analysis. Although I can see that being the reason. So,
Mhm.
I still think it could have been good. My general idea of how to have done that was, folks. I don't know what movie in reference, but like, Craven's whole journey of basically to be his father, but basically emulating his father, the path of violence, cycle of all that whole thing. Like, that story's there. And I think if they had focused on that more, it would have made more sense and better for the character.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing about most of these like bad movies made from half decent source material is it's not just that they're bad, it's there are so many easy and straightforward ways they could have not been bad. You don't really have to build a whole new movie from the ground up. You just have to figure out what like latent potential the movie didn't bother exploring and see what flowers from that. Anyway, back to the thing because we still have half a show after this.
Yeah. I mean, if the Corella Helmer wasn't up to the task or things went wrong in the edit, Gunn seemingly has been named as decision maker behind Lobo's role and divisive final song choice.
Again, I don't necessarily blame the fellow behind Atomic Blonde and Corella because it really feels like either he was gunning to impress James Gunn, and no, I didn't intend that to be as jokey as it came out. But it seems like either he really wanted to impress James Gunn by homaging James Gunn, or alternatively, either Warner Brothers, which I find more likely because Warner Brothers do not understand their characters and never seem to want to, or James Gunn himself was like, do your best impression of something James would do. And I think that honestly nerfed this movie significantly. I think if not Andy Muschietti, that was the guy that did the It movies and
Yeah, he did the Flash movie.
Flash. What
He's
the
actually
fuck is-
tapped. He's tapped to do the Batman movie for the DCU. I'm on the fence.
because we haven't learned our lesson yet, apparently. But what the fuck is the guy who did Corella's name?
Greg,
Gillespie. I feel like if Gillespie had been left to his own devices to see what he could make of a Supergirl story, that would have at least been a better and more honest movie in the sense of it would have actually had some creative passion behind it. Whereas the movie that we have feels so devoid of passion and so much trying to do things by the like James Gunn checklist that there isn't much left beyond Gillespie doing his best stab at a James Gunn impression.
yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
It's weird. Well, I don't think he would have been my first choice for a girl movie, given the spacefaring nature of it. Obviously, spacefaring. God damn it! I'm. Why the fuck? God,
Why to tell you?
fuck off!
I'm not wrong though, am I?
Fuck off. Again, I think, yeah, if he wasn't trying to emulate James, did more his style with it, it would have been a lot more visually interesting and a lot more engaging, I think.
Yeah.
Given, because I have seen Cruella, I've like seen clips of, obviously Atomic Blonde. Like, they're actually very visually stylized movies.
Yeah.
So,
and judging by how much he improved between Atomic Blonde and Cruella, I think, assuming he kept the positive trending going, if he was actually allowed to put his stamp on it rather than do a trace over of James' stamp on it, it would have resulted in a better movie. Maybe would have even given some purpose to the whole human trafficking, gun wedding wives thing. The Immortan Joe riff subplot, basically, from Fury Road.
moving on, or
Yeah.
okay. When it comes to Supergirl's box office struggles, the trade has largely dismissed the notion that Toy Story 5 and the World Cup are to blame for the nibbles, as if things weren't bad enough. Conservative media figure Megyn Kelly has silenced Supergirl's box office woes via the rap. Okay.
Do you think she's the only one talking about how it underperformed? Because pretty much everybody's been talking about it. It only made 37 million domestically in its opening weekend. That's basically chump change for something that has a $175 million budget. And keep in mind that the rule for blockbusters is somewhere between a doubling and tripling point now. Meaning that if it really wants to be financially successful, that would mean Supergirl would have to make roughly 5 times 3 is 15, carry over 1, 7, 7 times 3 is 41, 2, carry over 2, and then that would mean 1 times 3, 2, 5. But it has to be it'd have to be what, like 523 to break to actually make profit, to like start making profit. So yeah.
All right. Moving on?
Yeah.
All right. Supergirl has opened at the movie theater well below expectations because its star, Millie Alcock, is as loathsome as the girl Rachel Ziegler who played in Snow White. That's okay. That's a bit like.
Yeah. I'm fine believing that Megyn Kelly is overstating her case. There are many times where people that are involved in the culture war do overstate it. Hell, Brainstormer and I did 2 multiple-hour reactions to Gary from Neurotic's review of Multiverse of Madness back in the day because it was so surface level and disingenuous. So we're not above criticizing the people. The problem is you're acting as though Megyn Kelly is like patient zero, or that Megyn Kelly has any relevance to anyone at all, instead of it just being a general discontent with the movie. Like the most singularly positive review I saw for Supergirl was from Movie Bob Chipman of internet anonymity, and his positive review was basically he enjoyed the fact that it was a throwback to the old school low stakes style of comic book movie from the early 90s, which I feel like is a kind of half-hearted compliment because I don't think that's what the movie was going for. I think that's just Bob reaching like a motherfucker, as movie Bob sometimes want to do. And when movie Bob is the most positive reviewer you can get for a movie, it may not be by itself a bad sign, but it's sure as shit not a good sign. Like even Brainstormer, even though he opened being the more positive of the two of us, I kind of feel as we were discussing it that the more we discussed it, the more kind of down on the thing you became there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of the vibe I had while we were discussing it.
Alright. And seems to appreciate women in exactly the same as the other gal did, and is receiving similar backlash. She said, "That plus we're over the forced upon us girl boss era. It's not authentic. It's not organic. No longer buying it." Okay, Kara's not a girl boss.
No, if anything, she's a washed up, middle-aged bitch with burnout.
Hey Don, could you get close to you?
Yeah, sorry.
No, you good?
I said if anything, she's a washed up burnout more than a girl boss. Granted, that's not particularly likable either, especially because they didn't really give her much more to work with than that. But yeah, if anything, Kara is more of a washed up burnout than anything. That being said, I do think that some of the reviews they ambushed Millie Alcott with were an effort to try to make her sound like a Brie Larson or a Rachel Zegler. And to her credit, I think she didn't double and triple and quadruple down on them quite like those two did. But studios in general need to stop this social justice marketing shit. Sooner or later, they're going to have to come to terms with the fact that most people don't care, and the people that do care about social justice issues usually wind up on the opposite side of social justice rather than the pro-social justice side. Moving on, though.
Alright. After highlighting Alcott's height, calling the actress weirdly small, Kelly went on to say, "So now that people who like superhero movies are missed if they reject the weird short girl with the very strange look as their latest girls."
Okay, I don't co-sign any of those criticisms, but I also, once again, let's not act like Megyn Kelly is the quintessential example of people criticizing this movie. I have seen people criticizing this movie from all over the spectrum. Yes, you do have the critical drinker types, but you also have people that really wanted this movie to be good that just kind of had to throw their hands up and go, eh? And there are people with no skin in the game either way, like Jeremy Johns and Dan Murrell and people like that, who were just describing it as a movie and talking about how the actress did fine, but the script was just basically not there. And I think even the most charitable people I've seen try to be charitable to the thing will admit that the script just wasn't there. And granted, that's probably due to the fact that you got somebody who's only ever done a couple short films to do a tentpole blockbuster all of a sudden. But just because I can give that particular writer a pass because she shouldn't have been asked to do this early in her career doesn't mean that the script wasn't there. It just means that it's not her fault that the script wasn't there, or at least not entirely her fault.
Mm. most of the SJW stuff pisses off. Wouldn't have liked the show anyway. It's what I'll get. Sometimes it's actually go broke, go woke. Might be seeing that on the right more as time goes on. Business born again. Better to take a side in the culture war and get some people pushing it for tribalisms and to have bipartisan shitting on them.
Well, but that's the thing. Even the most neutral of reviewers ended up thinking, at the best, it was all right, or at the best, it wasn't very good. Which is where I think I ended up with, like, it's just like I don't have any particular hate for the thing. It's just it's not good. And it's not even enjoyably bad, like something like Madam Web or the Marvels were, where it's like it's another train wreck, but at least it's an amusing other train wreck. I doubt I will remember this movie after about a month or so. Anyway, moving on.
Alright. Something like this. So you can't sit around a love relationship because that would be given obviously disempowering. I mean, there's going. If you are in a love relationship with a man as a woman, it's disempowering to use superior. F that. Virtually every woman on earth who's straight would love to connect with a man, form a relationship, and be buoyed up by it, not diminished, which is a Hollywood weird woke message. Dude. I mean, yes, but also, I mean, there's also different types of love. Like, kind of,
Yeah, that doesn't really have relevance to anything. But again, Megyn Kelly is not a good example of the people criticizing this movie. The people criticizing this movie are just about everybody, because even the people that liked the movie can at least acknowledge the script was basically an honesty at best.
This Fox's news is Jesse Walters declared, "No man will ever see this movie." Hyman also on. Well, do you count as one or?
That is a very good question. Probably not by Megyn Kelly's standards, because she's a traditionalist and a conservative. But I may not be a good man, and I'm certainly not a trad man, but I am a man.
It's debatable, but okay.
I mean, in some sense, I'm more traditional than most, by virtue of the fact that my sensibilities tend to run Victorian at the earliest. But not in the sense of traditionalism. Traditionalism can get fucked, A, because it's just wrong, and B, because it's a straw man of history. But never mind.
But yeah, there's different types of love. Like, again, like how we pushed with like taking on with our iteration, we talked about Supergirl with like her kind of taking on a big sister / maternal role for Starfire. You know.
Yeah. Now, mind you, there are ways to make a character likable or interesting without focusing on the relationships. But I do think that this movie would have benefited from getting more mileage out of the relationship, both with Crypto and with Ruthie. Because despite the 3-day shot clock, she didn't seem particularly motivated to, hurry up and help Crypto, which didn't do any favors to endear her to the audience, at least not from where I'm standing.
On his very it's only his Americanisms that keep him from establishing a monarchy. Fair. That's pretty fair, actually. All right. So yeah, I saw the movie. Like, it's not the best. I obviously, like we considered or talked about, it could have been better.
Mhm.
But still, like it's. Uh, I feel like saying no man would ever see this movie is kind of a weird thing to say. To be fairly honest.
Yeah, it's weird tradcon coded bullshit. But again, I would ask the writer of this article, why are you focusing on a trad
So
con
much.
weirdo like Megyn Kelly instead of addressing the fact that quite a lot of people had a lot of criticism with this movie, and even most of the people who ended up positive on the movie were just kind of mid on it. I feel like this is a sampling bias where you're trying to look for the worst possible person to use as your example and then treating that example like it's the norm, when in actuality, you went hunting for the weirdest, most out there possible example in the hopes of making everyone who doesn't like the movie get tarred with that same brush. But weird traditionalism aside, there are reasons not to like this movie, and many people had many different reasons why they didn't like this movie, but a lot of people didn't like this movie, and most of the people that did like it wound up just kind of mid on the thing. I haven't heard anybody be just full throated like simps for the movie. I've seen some people be more positive on it, and I've seen some people be much more negative on it, even than I was. But in general, the audience reaction was mostly just kind of shrug. Sometimes a more negative shrug, sometimes a more positive shrug, but shrug or meh is the seems to be the prevailing sentiment. Which in some ways you can argue is worse than bad, because at least bad is a memorable train wreck.
All right. Guys, don't get into that. Maybe that's cool when you're 18. Sorry. And most people won't see that. The ones that do, it's just not enough for them to make money from the movie. But the whole bisexual thing, guys, don't get into that.
Bull fucking and shit. I'm not even straight, and I can tell you, straight men simp for lesbians to a frankly cartoonish degree.
I will neither affirm nor deny this as a
Like
straight man.
lesbian women and bi women are a particular fascination for the lowest common denominator of straight guys, it seems.
Oh no, it gets better actually.
Oh god.
And just look at the Fugoshi do the same for gay men.
What?
Yeah, that I don't.
Run that by me again. I'm not sure I heard that right. What the fuck?
And just look at the Fugoshi, Fugos, who do the same for gay men.
I
I have no idea.
I have no idea what that means. What in the
Oh, it's
fuck?
okay. Japanese term.
Okay.
Context, please, or definition of it. Here. We
Someone
speak.
please, because I am quite terminally online and terminally otaku coded, but this one has escaped my my radar over the years apparently.
Josh. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look. Give me a second. Um. Okay. Okay, Fugoshi translated literally as rotten girl, Japanese term for female fans of manga, anime, and novels that feature romantic or soul relationships between male characters.
Oh, so it's the Japanese equivalent of the fact that straight women are the largest consumers of gay erotica.
So it's okay. So it's the opposite guys do.
It's straight women projecting their perspective onto stories that involve two male protagonists screwing each other or romancing each other.
So either way, everyone dreams about having a threesome. Okay.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. It frequently frustrates and baffles me as a gay man that the largest consumer of gay male erotica is straight women, or bi women, but it is a thing that happens, and much in the same way, there is a particular lowest common denominator among straight guys that finds something uniquely fascinating about the idea of women on women sex, especially if it's playful wrestling or fighting or something along those lines.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, don't get into that. For the record, don't maybe mostly gay, or what would we say, like maybe 80, 90, 85% gay?
Yeah, normally I just refer to myself as gay because the one time I tried to explain to my mom that I was bi, she saw that as, oh, so you don't know which you're attracted to and you're confused.
Oh my god.
Which led to frequently me just being very, very annoyed with her and not being able to express it because you can't scream your head off at your own mother for being dumb. But
Ow, but
that's a large part of the reason I just started defaulting to gay, because it was
Thank-
much easier to explain that than explaining that when I said I was bi, I was being pedantic, because I have been interested in girls before, but never in a sexual way. So it's very
would that make you? That would make you asexual, in that way at least.
yeah. I guess the best way of putting it is I have some romantic attraction to women, but no physical or sexual desire for women whatsoever.
Yeah. Though we're saying gay, less lesbian, and now also get. Well, I can fix you and make you my sexuality. I guess everyone. Yeah. Actually. Really, bisexuality is such a hard concept for people to understand.
Yeah, people really fucking are
Dude, I grasped that concept when I was like fucking like 10.
even the really bizarre like wokeoids, the social justice set, really hate on bisexuals because according to the social justice way of thinking, by being bisexual, that means you have different attraction standards for men and women. Therefore, you're enforcing the gender binary. Derp. That's why a large part of the social justice brats want to basically erase bisexuality and replace it with pansexuality, because pansexuals don't differentiate their attraction between genders.
Okay, all right, moving on, because okay, maybe that's cool when you're 18, but when a girl's bisexual, trust her. He continued. Oh, it's a doozy in this from Fox. Okay,
Okay, this
that makes a lot more sense.
I am not surprised that Fox News is staffed by idiots. This is not news. It's just
I've
it's just
seen one or the other depending on what they need to be at the time.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm just a guy here. Like, I feel like I'm the token in this regard, but
Token straight guy. Well,
and most of the people I associate with thing are usually gay or bisexual or mostly not straight. So
Somewhere,
not going to
somewhere.
Central, obviously.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Dragon turtle is mostly dragon fox sexual. Lol. I'm joking, but DT knows the joke. I'm joking. The joke is that DT, whenever possible, winds up either creating stories or roleplay characters that are either kitsune or dragon oriented.
freak is freak, dude. I ain't gonna judge. I mean, I have to hear about Dawn's like taste all the time. So
Oh, don't act like we haven't sat there for hours talking about yours too.
okay, mine are somewhat tame comparatively.
Comparatively, sure, but you do have kinks as we have discussed.
Everyone has them. Okay, that's not what I would.
Some people are just vanilla. I don't really understand those people either. The people that are just vanilla are confusing to me. But
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've never met a person in my life, both real and online, that doesn't have some form of kink. Okay,
I don't either. It's kind of like the concept of normality or sanity. If you don't have some way of being fucked in the head, are you really alive?
that are really
In the year of our Lord 2026, if you're not at least slightly crazy, there's probably something deeply wrong with you. As the old saying goes, to be sane in an insane world is itself insanity.
You know, General, I kind of assumed they were shape shifting. To be fair, I did not peg you as a furry. Or that's not furry. It's Also, yes, fox girls.
Neko. I believe the term for what DT would be if he were a furry is a neko.
Also, again, no judgment, just not my thing.
And you both know I have at least furry adjacent tendencies because
That's monster.
we've done the Smasher Pass list and the Monster Mash list and so on.
That's monster fucking. That's kind of a different ballpark. To be fair, Neko's cat. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, fucking moving back to subject. Jesus.
Moving away from the rabbit hole.
Kim. Okay. We don't. And the ones I've met are super weird. So to say you're bisexual, it's not a turn on. It's a turn. Jesus Christ! It's
Yes, everybody and their dog is bags on bisexuality while simultaneously also, it must be said, jerking it to bisexual bullshit. Because again, the lowest common denominator of straight man has a frankly obsessive fixation with lesbians and or bisexual women. And as we covered, the largest consumers of gay male erotica is straight women.
that's
It
just.
irritates
I'm
me.
sorry. That like sentence is so fucking off-putting.
Yeah, when smug idiots are acting self-superior, it deeply it turns on a switch in my head that makes me want to destroy them.
Anyway. You don't have to agree with these criticisms. Let's face it, they're pretty weird, if not downright offensive. I would say weird, not well. I mean, to be fair, they do come off as like
They're
really
stupid. I don't find anything about them offensive. They're just being dumb.
yeah. It's because most people hate things based on their separation from themselves or the societal norm. Because people are sheep. So most people being gay want everyone to be that. So bi people get it from both sides and ace people from all sides. I mean, to be fair, I've never met an ace person. At least I don't know if I've met one. I mean, that's something you just mention off cuff, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I get it, but um, just like you do you. That's been my whole motto with anyone. So long as you're not like a shit to people, I don't really give a shit.
Mhm. So long as it isn't your entire fucking identity,
Well,
and
that too.
that's the little sliver of truth inside the bullshit we just read there. There are people, particularly among the activist class, who make it their entire identity and act as though they have no identity outside of their demographic bullshit. And those people are fatuous at best and moralistic authoritarian fuckwits at worst, who frankly need to find some aspect of themselves to fixate on beyond their demographics. Because, as a general rule, no one of substance fixates on demographic information about themselves. People have interests, people have hobbies, people have talents, people have aspects of their self that go beyond their demographics. And if you are, as a general rule, obsessed with your basic bitch demographic information, you're an idiot. And a vapid one at that.
You make good points there, Giant Troll.
I don't believe that all gay men want to use the phrase from that one cringy music thing, convert people's children. I think that LGBTQ critical theory is a bane on this existence, and frankly, in the modern world in particular, there's nothing that's damaged minority like respect or respectability more than the combinations of post-Frankfurt School critical theory and what's colloquially known or was colloquially known back in like 2015 as social justice. That's why I frequently say things like I'm gay, not LGBT, because I don't co-sign that we will convert your children bullshit. But yeah, no. Most gay people don't want everybody to be gay. Granted, would it make life easier if a guy you were thinking of hitting on in public was at least likely to be as receptive to you as they would be to a straight woman? Yes. That doesn't mean I want to fucking brainwash people or make every character gay or whatnot. I do think it's sometimes amusing if characters have that aspect to them because there's story or character potential in them. But that's why, if ever we make characters of a particular demographic, we make them of that particular demographic. Not because we have some axe to grind, identitarian or otherwise, but because sometimes stories and characters are interesting when you add these elements to them. God forbid you put the story and the storytelling before you put political and socio-cultural gobbledygook ahead of story. Moving on.
You don't have to agree with the criticisms. Let's face it, pretty much are offensive, but both Kelly and Waters have the larger audience, and the low opening week numbers are perfect fodder to back up their arguments. Supergirl was similarly targeted. Superman similarly targeted, though the movie's box office and critical success largely put an end to that. Supergirl's not playing in theaters. Okay.
It didn't do very financially well. It managed to make less than Man of Steel did, despite the fact that Man of Steel came out in 2013, and there's been 13 years of inflation, several of which were bolstered by the COVID years. So it should have been child's play to make something that made around the same money as Man of Steel did. Now, don't get me wrong. While I don't think Man of Steel 2025 was a good movie, it was a worlds better movie than Man of Steel. it just so happens that Man of Steel did literally everything it could possibly get wrong. And so even a massive improvement on something that's fundamentally the opposite of what it should be is still potentially going to be bad. Just because it wasn't as bad as Man of Steel doesn't mean that Superman 2025 wasn't bad, at least in my opinion. But financially speaking, if we're talking about raw numbers, the fact that it managed to make around $50 million less than Man of Steel did back in 2013, both at the height of, in the early years of the superhero genre, and also B, after 13 years of inflation, is a bit alarming, especially because, unlike me, Superman 2025 was very positively received, especially when you compare it to Man of Steel, which was, as stated, a complete and utter clusterfuck.
So, Charles, there's something to that V mentions that often the effects of a good or bad movie are felt one or more later, especially for a good movie trying to claw its way out of apathy because it has to word of mouth.
Yeah. I do think that if the David Cornsweet Superman came out during 2013, it would have been much better received. But we don't live in that world. We live in a world where Warner Brothers fucked around for a decade for no reason, and so now they've got that plus the general slow but sure fatigue of superhero movies in general happening, not because it was inevitable, but because a larger proportion than usual of superhero stuff in the recent years, ever since Phase 3 of Marvel wrapped up, were mid to bad to unspeakably bad. And just like a rising tide raises all ships, a lowering tide regularly causes many ships to run aground. Moving on, though.
Yep. Okay, so just for time purposes also, I think I am about ready to keel over from exhaustion because I've been up since 6 a.m. today.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to just watch the werewolf trailer because I know Don wants to gush over that.
Robert Eggers, so far, he has not made a thing that disappointed me. So we're...
actually, another thing about it, because Don and I had a previous conversation about it, because I'd seen someone make a comment. Robert Eggers was kind of making his own kind of dark universe, which I stand by, that universe could have been something fantastic. It would actually really pushed itself.
Mm-hmm. I'm just really hoping that this movie is in the same universe as his premiere movie, which was The Witch, because in the Burning Times period, in the beginning in the late 1500s, werewolfism and vampirism were considered sort of specialized subtypes of heretical sorcery. And we know that Robert Eggers took a lot of historical and mythological references for The Witch to kind of spotlight the what's called by academics in today's day and age the elaborated theory of witchcraft that the church came up with. So I would really like it if Werewolf and The Witch are in the same universe.
But I was like, if he was kind of doing, dark universe, like the kind of classic monsters, right?
Mm.
I had thought of the idea of like the Frankenstein movie, but pushing that aside, I'm considering, given Mummy came out, right?
Mm.
Or Lee Cronenberg's The Mummy, and was not that great.
Yeah.
Kind of would like to see him do a Mummy movie.
Yeah, if he does the same kind of fidelity to like the Egyptian funerary rites and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, as he did to the witchcraft woodcuts of the 15th and 16th or 16th and 17th centuries, and as well as he did adapting the Norse Eddas with the Northmen, then I think a Robert Eggers mummy movie would
You
be
know,
very interesting indeed.
And since he's kind of really set on doing like period pieces, he could do the whole Eugenia, which I believe was like late 19th century, early 20th century.
Yes, the Victorian and Edwardian Egyptomania would be quite interesting. Although, just to be extra different and give even more room for him to play with the actual mythos, I think a mummy movie set in ancient Egypt would be particularly cool.
Yeah, fair.
Because we've seen so many movies with the rest of the world reacting to the Egyptian mythos. So it'd be interesting to see a mummy movie from the inside of the ancient Egyptian culture.
All right.
Wolfsbane.
Child of God.
It's atmospheric.
Yeah. And I will point out that aesthetically it does resemble The Witch, although that might just be because Robert Eggers' style resembles Robert Eggers' style. But I really would like a world where this was in the same universe as The Witch.
All right.
Wolfsbane.
Do not dread the darkness. Embrace it.
You know what would be another interesting thing they could do with this?
Hound of God.
Yes, Hound of God. For those that
What?
don't know, this is actually from the trial transcripts back in the day. There was a guy who was accused of werewolfism, and he basically said that, oh, I can understand why it would look that way, because I am a secret, essentially special forces werewolf on a mission from God. So divine werewolfism. And it is particularly worth noting that the guy was free to go. The courts bought that, which is part of the reason I really want them to be a thing.
Although it is using, I mean, to be fair, we see a naked woman levitating, so this tied more with the more traditional werewolf, given that he was covered as a young one, at least, or at least that's what we're shown.
In the vein of wondering if this is going to do a similar fidelity to the Burning Times that The Witch did, are we going to see the wolf belts?
No, yeah, they showed this being covered in a wolf pelt.
So yeah, we are potentially in the same universe.
All right, Giant Trial. Didn't the Inquisition themselves tell them, "Hey, get it? You aren't witches. Fuck us alone."
Oh, the Hound of God. I don't remember that aspect of the Hound of God mythos. I do remember someone being accused of werewolfism and then and then getting off because they said we are essentially Heaven's SEAL Team 6 with of like divine werewolfism.
Okay. Also, why can't you only speak up on werewolves in a pack? Because alone they would be a werewolf.
Hmm?
I think he's mean like aware, like AWARE, but it's
Well,
a.
that's where the word aware comes from. The suffix where in Old English means thinking. Like the original term for a adult male human was a wereman in Old English, and werewolf. That is where that comes from, because originally in the context of werewolfism, there was none of this half wolf, half man thing. It was just you were a man who turned into a wolf. Therefore, you were a wolf with a man's conscious mind, hence a werewolf.
Yeah.
It is actually where we get the word aware from.
Wolf. Let's not forget the wolf wears.
Oh yes, I have not told Brainstormer about that yet.
The wolf turn into humans once a month.
Something along those lines, yes.
I saw like a clip talking about it, so I'm aware of it in the comedic sense, at least.
They show up in the werewolf book of Dresden Files, which is book 2.
Okay. Sorry, I just noticed this. Also, pretty sure that inspired Powerwolf. The band's whole theme is Catholic werewolves. Huh.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I will have to look into that because I've never heard of it.
The Hound of God concept is just too good not to use, frankly.
Well, to be fair, there's not really much on it, like much, regarding the information of it.
Because as far as we know, it was one like coven of these guys.
Also, Giant Turtle, by the time I actually really get into Dresden Files, I'm more than likely going to forget everything Dalton's told me.
Yeah. But
So,
anyway. the worm is turning. The more I tell Brainstormer about the like zany or pulpier aspects of Dresden Files, the more interested he gets.
Yeah, the fact that you should have started with that probably would have made me gotten. I probably would have already started.
Yeah, that's my bad. But yes, the worm is turning. We will convert him in the end, DT.
Again, I've been busy and I'm not gonna really get into it, but Dalton knows how busy I've been like in my life. So right now reading isn't really like a big priority.
Yeah. The shit happens-o-meter in Brainstormer's life has gone up again.
Yeah.
But
Wolfbane.
I heard of a raving beast that ravish this country.
Keep my husband safe from his cursedness.
Okay, are we doing the Beast of Jebulon? Because you will get bonus points if you do the Beast of Jebulon.
No, it's it's not like, well, Dalton's being a bit dramatic. It's not bad. It's I'm really busy.
Yeah, but yeah, on point. It did just occur to me that we might be doing the Beast of Jebulon because they do vaguely sound like they might have French accents, which may be an indicator of we're doing Beast of Jebulon. For those that don't know, the Beast of Jebulon was a French case of potential werewolfism that also kind of bridged the gap into the first unofficial serial killer case in Europe. Because there's a theory that it's werewolves, but then again, there's also a theory that somebody trained a captive like coyote to kill for them, and we're thus the first serial killer. So if we're at the very least doing references to the Beast of Jebudon, you will get bonus points, Robert. You don't need to try this hard, but I appreciate that you try this hard. Because God, again, speaking myself as both a history nerd and a magical practitioner with 20 years of experience, I do like when things do their homework. So hit me with your best shot, sir.
Actually, now I'm thinking about it. I know it wouldn't be as dark or oppressive not oppressive, but dark Robert Eggers usually goes with his movies.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to see his take on Holmes.
Take on what?
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, I could see him having a lot of fun with that. It'd basically be taking what Guy Ritchie did and turning it up to an 11.
But less dynamic.
I mean, that depends on who we get for Holmes and Watson, because a lot of the best parts of the
I was thinking kind of like about like the style.
Then again, we don't know what Robert Eggers would do with a truly like big budget IP, because he's not really the closest he's gotten there is probably Nosferatu, and even that was a fairly cheap budget by like Blockbuster did. I fully support Robert Eggers getting Blockbuster money to play around with at some point. We don't know what he would do with a larger sandbox to play in.
Actually, I'm sorry.
Part of the
Arthurian Myth.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure what he could do that wasn't already kind of done with Green Knight.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
really good. I'm sorry, that was a good movie, and
But yeah, I fully support him getting handed a bigger sandbox to play in.
Okay, I'm sorry. Something similar vein to Arthurian Myth, but also is up his alley.
Mm-hmm.
Beowulf.
I mean, he's already done the Northman, so we know he could do it.
Damn it!
I still think that instead of giving however much fuck you money they gave to Christopher Nolan to do the Odyssey, a version of the Odyssey done by Robert Eggers, that would be a movie I would be interested in seeing. But yeah, in the vein of him getting larger sandboxes, that's part of the reason I'm hoping that Werewolf and The Witch are in the same universe. Kind of in the same way of what M. Night Shyamalan did with Unbreakable and Split, but of course not telling people until Split was already out that it was in the same universe as Unbreakable, and then of course leading to Glass.
Okay, it might be a bit much because I'm trying to think of like something like old and.
I think he could have a lot of fun with the concept of Spring-Heeled Jack from English folklore.
All right, but I have two ideas. One's
Okay.
more literary, other is like more actual like old myth.
Mm-hmm.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
Ooh, that would be him doing epic. Oh, that's threatening me with a good time. Why fucking don't you?
Or Three Musketeers.
I would be very interested to see that as well. Though, I think he could do more with the Phantom of the Opera.
Oh my god.
Because it keeps in that gray area, maybe supernatural, maybe not kind of vein, and the like monstrous angle, obviously with Eric's deformity and so on, and the kind of gothic romancy sort of thing.
Also, just set design alone would be immaculate.
Oh yeah, Robert Eggers' rendition of what the Phantom actually looks like behind the mask. Yes, fucking please. And I don't
I
know if Robert Eggers would be interested in doing a musical, but the only non-stage Phantom of the Opera we've gotten has been the Joel Schumacher version, and even with a lack of experience doing larger productions, I would stake my reputation on the fact that Robert Eggers could do a better version of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom than Schumacher did.
if anything, for the opera, I feel like
I'd be happy either way. I'm just, while we're
no,
sitting
no, no,
here,
no.
fan
Hold on. For the design, Eric, like what he would look like without the mask.
Mhm.
I almost want to say it'd be well for whatever is actually described in the book, obviously, but also paying on slightly to the Universal original black and white movie because that was really interesting design.
Well, also in the vein of, Robert Eggers really liking to do history deep dives, there's a lot of fun he could have with like historical like carnivals and sideshows and circusry type aesthetics, like Elephant Man style deformities and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, the Elephant Man, like something that. That's a bit too much. That's a bit too modern.
I'd rather have him bring that kind of vibe to Phantom than have him just do a remake of Elephant Man. Because I'm not above him. I'm certainly not saying he can't do adaptations of already adapted shit. Because his Nosferatu was really freaking good. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him have stuff that he could do more of a unique, bring his talents to the fore thing with.
I would say he'd have to, for one thing, he'd probably have to get a composer that is very classically trained.
Well, you'd want something from like the Free Musketeer style era if you were going to give him either Phantom or the Musketeers. Which
Well, no, what I mean
think
is like with like the Phantom, obviously music is a very, very important part.
yeah. So you definitely want to get, whether you do it as an adaptation of the Andrew Lloyd Webber version or not, you definitely want the music to be top notch. Which I mean, the obvious correct answer is Hilda Guðnadóttir. She of Joker's fame.
And I know, not the biggest fan of The Bride, but the soundtrack was pretty good.
It was, but not the kind of thing you want here. I think Hilder's sensibilities would benefit more.
Anyway.
Yeah. Would be.
Come on. Okay, there we go.
Thy soul is cursed.
I mean, Robert Eggers is just he's doing everything he can to try and move up my like directors that I just default to list, and it's working. I have weird standards and sensibilities, but once you nail them, you nail them. So I'm really hoping for that, the twist of the witch and werewolf existing in the same universe thing. Right. I'm going to headcanon it either way for the sake of my peace of mind, but I really would like to see him basically do with the witch and werewolf what Shyamalan did with Unbreakable and Split. I don't know what a third one in this hypothetical trilogy would be like, but just throwing that out there. If you really want to get bonus points, making the witch and werewolf exist in the same universe would be the easiest way to do it.
All right.
Cursed. Thy world is cursed.
Yeah, he's doing the classic movie monsters, but then a lot of like other Hollywood movies have been doing.
Well, because I think much in the same way as, Man After My Own Heart, he's interested in bringing the mythology, the history, the deeper context of these things to the fore. And so far, he's been nailing it, so I can't complain. He did that with the Malleus Maleficarum and under Witch Hunter Manual and the Witch. He did that with the Norse Eddas and sagas in the Northman. He appears to be doing it again here. And the most commercial movie he's done has been Nosferatu, which he still threw bits and pieces of actual vampire lore in. It was just less noticeable because, it had more to start with.
Yeah.
And was obviously somewhat beholden to the previous adaptation.
Moving on.
Yep, was big.
Christmas. He does seem to do these movies a lot, like have them come off a lot in winter.
Well, I think horror. I think horror, especially supernatural horror, kind of lends itself to fall and winter more. Though, I mean, this probably isn't his doing because it's probably the studio's. But did no one think to go, let's make this a Halloween release? Again, not his fault. It's probably the studio's. But I'm not opposed to ghost stories at Christmas or supernatural horror stories at Christmas either, because I mean, they are to some degree as old as the hills, but I feel like you missed an opportunity just slightly by not releasing one during Halloween.
Anyway, I guess with that, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avid, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Pray that they're in the same universe and fuck off.
bye, guys.